he's ready for an interview with P1's jungler.
Thank you very much. I'm here with P1's other jungler, Anori. Great to have you back here in the NA LCS. First game kind of after coming back. How are you feeling after that one?
Not too happy. I think I played pretty poorly, but we still won, so I'm happy about that.
It's been a great weekend for the team overall. Of course, going 4-0 means you guys are in a great position moving into the back end of the season. But how's it been like as far as coming back into the team, maybe shaking some of the rust off, getting those games in?
It was pretty hard. Like, Meteos has been playing really well, and like, I'm happy the team's doing well, but I'm just kind of upset, like, I don't get the chance to play as much, but I understand the situation. Like, he's a really good jungler, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can from him, and hopefully I can improve.
And I was actually going to ask you, you guys have actually very different styles from the jungle. It feels like, if Meteos is maybe more a permanent part of this roster, even just as a sub, are you guys learning from each other's styles? Because he's got, his individual picks, like the Zac is more of a control player, whereas you love your aggressive carries. Are you guys kind of learning off each other and kind of how the jungle works?
I'm not too sure about him, but I'm learning a lot from his communication. I think he has a lot of experience, and his communication is really good. So I respect him a lot for that, and I think I can learn a lot more from him too.
All right, so look ahead now. Phoenix won in a prime position, sole possession of third after this weekend, but of course, you can push for a few more weeks. First of all, are we going to be seeing more of you throughout the week? So you planning on kind of getting back in now that you're back into it? And how well do you think Phoenix will do to close out the regular season?
That's up to the management and coaching staff. I would love to play, but I still am kind of disappointed how I played today. I want to improve a lot more before I play on stage next, so I would like the opportunity to play more, and I think P1 will do really well. I mean, I'm watching the other teams play, and I think P1's on like an uprise, so yeah, I think they'll do pretty well.
All right, final question for you. I know you're originally from Canada. Spring Finals will be in Vancouver this year. Are you going to be there?
I mean, I hope so. Like, yeah. I would love to play, though. Yeah. That would be really nice to play in front of, like, your hometown crowd. So I'm hoping I get the chance, but obviously I don't want to play if I'm not performing to my level. So I hope I improve a lot before that.
Well, best of luck. Great series today. It seems like the team and you are on an upward trend. We are going to send it back to the analyst test, though, to wrap up the day.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Good to see Anori back in the league, and I'm sure, as he mentioned, happy to come away with the victory, but not necessarily happy with his individual play. Some to a degree forgivable in terms of some, some rust buildup may be expected when being away from the NALCS for a bit of time. But overall, the 2-0 victory for Phoenix won here against Echo Fox, as well as the 2-0 week, which puts them solidly in third place here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty surprising the way it happened too. Maybe they beat FlyQuest, and then there's like a game record thing, because we know P1 has a really nice game record, but then FlyQuest loses again today, and now they're just completely in control of third place. Not what I was expecting heading into today.
Right, and the way they do it is Meteos in game 1 playing on that Zac. We flip to game 2. Champion select looks very different for Phoenix 1 all of a sudden. So it's actually kind of nice to see that the team has the ability to adapt around the jungler that they decide to put in, being on a more aggressive Kha'Zix this time around.
And it's really interesting, actually, because with Meteos, it's like, okay, he started really poorly. Like, the first game he got out of jungle really hard, and then he's improved steadily, like, throughout the weeks. And then Anori comes in, he's kind of rocky. The first game, I think he killed himself like 1 or 2 different times. And so it's a real fight for the position.
And just the way like it influences their entire champ select. Whereas you see here they have to take the Kha'Zix early because of the Rengar and Graves bans.
Right.
And then if this was Meteos, you're probably taking a tank jungler a little later on, and once they take the Shen, you maybe use the last pick Rumble counter pick. It's so hard to do that when you have the Kha'Zix already taken. And it really does influence their entire team comp, where you might see Zig on more tanks when paired up with Anori versus what Meteos unlocks Zig to do with some of his more pocket picks.
Which is just credit to Zig then for being able to play across the tank pool and the carry pool. And just today we had Kled and then Nautilus played. Then we look elsewhere on the map, and of course Arrow is a solid, consistent performer in the bot lane, but Stunt picking up somewhat of a frontliner here in the Taric, as opposed to one of the squishier, caster supports that we've seen a lot more of right now in the current meta. So it really is an entire team effort here in order to craft around both junglers depending on which one is in the game.
And of course the fact that Adrian subbed out. I don't think we would have seen Taric in this game if we were still having Adrian on this team. So it's very interesting to see P1 not only having to adapt to the players that are playing for them right now, but the fact that they're able to win while doing so.
Right.
Yeah, and like I love seeing Taric, because Taric used to always be like, oh, I'd see C9 play, and they played it very well, where they used Taric like stuff initiation from other teams, and this is kind of what we saw this game. Like in multiple situations, denied like a whole Syndra ult, or just a lot of damage that was produced off a potential pick from the other team.
Right. That said, this game was a lot closer for a much larger portion of the game until Phoenix One was finally able to get a solid advantage around the 32-minute mark. But it all stemmed from Arrow, an aggressive play as the AD carry, popping both summoners out of Keith here, will then net a one-team fight off of a Team P flank. Here we are.
Yeah, just a couple minutes later, or barely even, like a minute or two later, Zig gets a nice TP flank, and he's like he hits Acadian, doesn't matter, turn around, focus back onto Keith. He has no summoners, he goes down right away. There's that Taric ult like Scara was mentioning, and it just makes it so hard for the team to punish that kind of engage where it wasn't the cleanest, but they were able to open up on the Keith.
Yep. I mean,
I was going to say, from here, though, Scara, I know you had some criticism around, what they did to close the game. Once again, with, around the Baron, doing some weird chasing around the map. Phoenix One still looks to be a little bit lost sometimes in the late game when it comes to pushing down those inner turrets and inhib turrets.
I mean, you saw them try a lot. Like, you saw Stunt, I think, failed 3 or 4 separate flash E's or E flashes this game. And I have to give him credit. Like, after failing the first one, like, you may be like, okay, well, like, it's just not going to work. But he kept going for them, even in games where it was if he hit it, he would win the game or get the pick. And so I respect that a lot. And even though it didn't convert this time, I'm hoping to see more consistent play throughout.
Very much so. Let's pop over to our final replay here. 37 minutes into the game, 4-0 for Phoenix One. This really put, the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, once again, kind of off the back of Arrow's aggressive play.
We just missed it, but he eat in and flashed out there. But
I just can't believe Froggy went for this.
That was way too aggressive with his support right next to him there. Then you get to see the
Arrow plays this great here against Lee Sin. So watch that.
Yeah, nice shift to avoid getting Insect into his team. Froggen now been chunked out super low over the course of this extended fighting. Easy to get onto Keith as well, and then Anori starts getting those resets and going all crazy on everybody.
If this rolls out, of course, from there, it still took a little bit of time to end the game as they had to go push down the top lane, inhib and whatnot. But whereas Phoenix One is now solidly into that third place position at 9-5, Echo Fox here 5-8. Where while Immortals picks up a victory today, makes that 6th, 7th place discussion all of a sudden a heck of a lot more interesting. They were so close at the beginning of the day and now quite far apart.
Yeah, and I think if you just want to talk about like the entire day, it's absolutely insane to see Dignitas picking up a win as well. And now there's a ton of pressure. Envy looked good in their series, pushing TSM to 3 games. So overall, the bottom tier teams really showed up today and challenged basically everyone they played.
Yeah, we thought it'd be a super one-sided day, and honestly, like I wasn't too psyched for the schedule today. Like I thought yesterday had an interesting schedule, tomorrow has an interesting schedule, and today was going to be like the weakest of the 3. It just turns out that today had like blowout games.
Yeah, very exciting day today. Arrow's going to pick up player of the game. I don't know if you guys have anything else to say about this guy. We've said so much. I don't know what else there is to say, but he's a monster. He's a monster.
Yeah, I mean, like we were joking about this. Like as Arrow is like in the game longer, you have a higher chance of winning. Just give him time. He will make a play. Like, at 30 minutes, it's been a close, hard-fought game. Eventually, Arrow finds the opening, blows key summoners, and it's like, oh, hey, suddenly their immobile AD carry doesn't have summoners. This makes a TP flank for Zig 10 times easier. So I think, just give Arrow a little bit of time, a little bit of room to work, and he'll find you something.
And that's where maybe having Stunt next to him as a support, willing to make some of the more aggressive plays that maybe Adrian wasn't going to make, or at least play the champions that allow them to be a little bit more aggressive, might aid Arrow in becoming an even stronger carry for the squad.
The only critique you can have on Arrow is that his lane phase wasn't very good. But I often attribute it to the fact that like Adrian just isn't a very aggressive player. However, when you look how Stunt's playing lane, this guy is going ham. This guy has different champion picks, and he's a very aggressive player. And I think that opens up a different avenue where Arrow can just like hard win the lane and then carry a lot earlier than you'd expect.
Right, I think that's actually a great point to mention. They actually dove bot lane this time, 2v1, really early on. They just walked up to the Ashe, who had the roaming support. So I think that's the kind of stuff that we had kind of maybe said, Arrow doesn't quite dominate lane, but now that he's paired up with Stun, it seems like they do want to try and take over the game earlier.
Right, give him more time. It's only been a couple days here, these two in the bot lane playing together. They got a couple more weeks until the season closes. With our matches in the books, let's go ahead and pull up the rankings to see how the teams place. Phoenix One's win over Echo Fox not only further distances themselves from 4th place FlyQuest, but grants TSM their spot in the Spring 2017 playoffs. Of course, still positioning for 1st and 2nd to be decided. That leaves only 4 more playoff spots up for grabs. We'll be back again tomorrow to see who else can make a play for them. Our day begins with CounterLogic Gaming versus Cloud9 over on NA LCS 1. Then Pobelter and Immortals look to upset Bjergsen and TSM in the Battle Arena. Over on NA LCS 2, we start with Echo Fox facing Team Dignitas with Team Liquid against Envy in the Battle Theater later in the day. So back to you, Skara. We talked about how today was the one that was kind of expected to be the dud day in a way, and we're looking at other games. All right, we're about to move into Sunday. What's the big matchup that you're looking at tomorrow?
I'm more interested in kind of like the middle, like the bottom of the playoff spots. So like I look at Echo Fox versus Dignitas. I'm really interested because Echo Fox is kind of falling off. Dignitas is kind of picking up pace, and so that's something where I'm just like, that could be the 6th place decider.
Right, that's a necessary game to win for either of those teams if they really want to make a strong push for 6th place. In that matchup, Mark, who do you think's got the edge? Dignitas off the win today?
I think so, actually. They've been looking a lot better in the recent weeks, and the Echo Fox has been trending downwards. And I think we saw that Acadian had to play great in order for them to actually start winning series, and that's when they kind of had the odd week, even week Echo Fox. And then it feels like he's come back down to earth. He's still playing good, and Froggen's playing good, but it doesn't seem like good is good enough for this roster. They actually need other people to start stepping up. Like Looper has not looked good on frontline and stuff like that. So I think they're in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, Scar, we were looking at the mid lane in this past game. I mean, Froggen on the Syndra into Ryu's Ahri. He had total control of that lane. So again, you would think with that kind of pressure and on a dominant champion like Syndra that he might be able to extend that lead and get control of the game. Didn't happen.
Like even though Echo Fox loses games, I'm watching Froggen play. I'm just like, wow, this guy's playing mid lane incredibly well. You see him pressuring the mid lane super well, and you're not seeing much out of it. It may be even TS, he may be ahead by 10, maybe ahead by 20, but in the competitive game without jungle pressure, being ahead by that much consistently every game, it's insane. He had 98 CS at 9:45 this game, which means that he missed 3 CS, assuming he didn't get any Raptors, which I know he did get a little bit, so he missed like maybe 6 CS in the entire lane phase until 10 minutes. I think that's phenomenal, plus he hard pressured the enemy lane to back first.
Right, the fact is though, it's not turning into victory, so they still have to find that winning formula. We'll see if they can do it tomorrow against Dignitas and make a run at playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today. So for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more North American LCS. Good night.
Other people? Yeah.